Hi everyone, this is meowmurai. Let's check out Horrific Xanatorium, running on PC. Okay, it's a Kemco published visual novel, which I'm usually a fan of. For folks that are maybe newer to my channel, you may not realize that I used to do a lot of visual novels. In fact, it used to be the thing that people would come and watch my playlist for. But it's been a while since we've had a meaningful visual novel on here, so. This was released this year, at least over here in the States, and it's kind of right up my alley, and that's a little bit of a psychological horror game or visual novel. So let's check it out. First, these are the settings we have. Not much, just kind of normal stuff that you would see from a visual novel. We can also do this in 4K. Unfortunately, there's no 1440p resolution, but since we're broadcasting in 1080p, I figured we'd just leave it as it is. It's got some real basic sound options. And let's get to it. Where am I? It was awfully dark. The place was covered with wreckage, and the smell of smoke filled the air. There was a girl in front of me, covered in blood and wearing torn-up clothes. She was holding my hand. However, I could not see her face clearly because of the black fog. The girl was trying to tell me something. Her voice was muffled, and I could not quite hear what she said. I tried my best and listened carefully to understand her. I finally heard a voice, but it was not coming from this world. The world flipped and my consciousness switched to another place. Are you okay? You were moaning in sleep. I think we'll be at the hospital soon. Oh, okay. I responded reluctantly as my body felt dull after having an unpleasant dream. I drank water to moisten my dry throat and got my mind right. My name is Ryu Gunzaki. I took a break from the university and now on a bus heading to a place called Kamikawa Sanatorium Hospital. This hospital, built in a mountain full of nature, was what you called a psychiatric hospital. I never thought I'd end up in a psychiatric hospital. I was lucky and got infected with Spilia, a new type of encephalitis virus transmitted by blood from animals to mosquitoes. Spilia was known to cause hallucinations, delusions, and memory disorder. Currently, there are no treatments for it, and the only thing that could be done was to wait for the virus to disappear in a stress-free environment. As a matter of fact, I have been experiencing all kinds of unpleasant hallucinations. I saw some strange creatures. I saw my bamboo sword looking crooked through my eyesight. I was in the middle of preparing for a kendo tournament in July, but because of Spilia, I was forced to take a break. It really sucks. If this is just another dream, I want to wake up now. What are you mumbling about? It's nothing. Apparently I was speaking out loud. I took a good look at my sister sitting next to me. Her name is Mone. According to an anime geek friend of mine, she was an ideal little sister who looked as if she came out of an anime. She might be a bit stubborn, but she was pretty cute and very caring. She was now accompanying me to the hospital since our parents were busy with their work. It was not surprising for people to consider her as the ideal. What? Why are you staring at me? It's nothing. I looked out the window to change the line of vision. Many trees appeared and disappeared as they drifted away from my sight. The view seemed to continue. But then, the boring loop was suddenly ended by an enigmatic presence. Outside the window in the forest, a rust-colored human-shaped monster with unusually long fingers and toes appeared. The monster stared at me with swirling eyes that seemed to drag everything into an abyss. I could not help but let out a pathetic sound. What is it? There was a monster in the forest. It was reddish-brown with long arms and legs and... You're probably hallucinating. Uh-oh, I forget I was infected with Spilia. People have different hallucinations, but I heard that most people see human-shaped monsters. I see. Her face gradually darkened from looking fed up and then finally turned calm. Don't worry, you'll be fine once you're in the hospital. Yeah. I agreed, hoping for that to be true. Ah, I see the hospital, Monet told me as she pointed ahead. But in front of the hospital there was an enormous gate. The bus stopped. On both sides of the gate, high fence stretched into the forest. What's with all the gate and fence? Are every psychiatric hospital strictly guarded like this? I read on the internet that they build them to enclose the facility for safety. There used to be many severe patients who had escaped. Recently, they've been closing the gate because of the increasing number of screwed patients from Spilia. That makes sense. Perhaps the screwed one is actually the hospital, and the wall was built to keep the patients from escaping. For a moment, a terrifying delusion came to mind, and my body got tense. Was I having this delusion because of Spilia? Anyway, why did you check out about that place that far? Isn't it obvious? My beloved brother might be in care for months. It's only natural to check to make sure it's not a strange place. She speaks like a mother. I ain't staying in a hospital for months. I'll get well as soon as I can and now get out of here. I hope so. A person who looked like a staff member opened the gate for us. They might have been notified about us in advance. When the bus ran a little past the gate, the entire hospital became visible. It was a nice, clean hospital that made me forget the horrifying image I had because of the gate. Looks like a nice place. Yeah. A soft wind of May blew straight across me as I got off the bus. The smell from the trees surrounding the hospital calmed my buzzing mind. We entered the hospital. The place looked new regardless of it being in the mountains. Surprisingly, there were many young patients. I had heard many elders with dementia were usually in these kind of places, so this might be due to Spilia spreading. I went to the reception desk with Monet and gave my name as Genzaki. We were told then to have a seat and wait for the director to come. I wondered why the director was coming, but I concluded that things like this could happen, and did not ask. We sat down on the chairs and waited leisurely for the director to appear. There were a few people, but the place was very quiet and peaceful. Outside the window was a beautiful view of nature. But then a disturbing, croaky voice, unfit for the pleasant hospital, rang out in my ears. I don't think this shitty hospital's gonna fix your crappy head. A strange, skull-like creature suddenly appeared in the air. However, I looked at it without batting an eye. I already knew this being. Hey, you ignoring me? If you treat me like that, I might burst into tears. The appearance and hoarse voice that could not be from this world. It was a delusion I created. I could say it was an embodiment of my image against Spilia. Its appearance was probably based on Gelny, the evil leader from a superhero TV show, Sword Rangers, which I used to love to watch. It was a symbol of fear and discomfort for me. For some reason, its personality was much more cheerful than the original one, though. You'll be like this for the rest of your life. You ain't gonna escape the disease. Come now, join my army and do all the evil things together. I brushed Gelny off with my right hand while keeping a straight face. It then easily disappeared like a fog. The easiest way to identify hallucinations caused by Spilia was to actually touch it. It was an exception when something that exists appeared to be something else, but it could not be touched if it was not real. I looked beside me. Monet was blankly watching the scenery full of nature outside. The words of my friend, little sister who looked as if she came out of an anime, crossed my mind. Without a deep thought, I tried to poke her on the cheek. However, she instantly sensed it. What? Don't you dare pull a prank! Monet glared at me, and I quickly pulled my hand back. As I was thinking how to justify myself, a figure suddenly appeared in front of me. When I looked up, there was a woman in white wearing a gas mask and holding a gun. I did not even need to touch her. It was obviously a hallucination. I was having hallucinations that did not even make sense to me. I am Henri, the director of this hospital. You must be the newest Spilia patient here. It was useless to deal with delusions, so I decided to ignore it, just as I did with Yelny.
Oh, you've got some nerve to ignore me. I am the rule here. If you disrespect me, you will be treated accordingly.
The delusion put a gun to my head. When I glanced at Monet, she was looking in the direction of the director with a panicked face. Maybe this director isn't a delusion after all. I'm sorry. That's right. I'm Ryu Genzaki. I've been newly admitted to the hospital. I got up in haste and introduced myself.
Okay, fine.
The person who identified herself as the director seemed to be satisfied and lowered her gun. Monet next to me also looked relieved. After all, I was not hallucinating. The director in front of me was real. Perhaps I was only seeing her in a funny appearance. Otherwise, there was no way such a weird director wearing a gas mask and carrying a gun existed.
Rui Genzaki, welcome to Kamikawa Sanatorium Hospital. We welcome you.
She spread her arms wide and shouted as if to show she was the ruler of this place. To what extent was this person altered by delusions? Were her words and actions also twisted because of delusions? She looked young, but since she was the director, she could be an old man in the reality. I could not distinguish true from false, and it made me confused.
Originally, sanatoriums were built in places with fresh air to treat tuberculosis patients. This hospital was built for the same purpose and has a long history, dating back to 100 years. As a matter of course, it was renovated and reconstructed during those years.
Is that so? She started blabbing about the history of the hospital. Since I was confused from seeing hallucinations, most things she said did not stay in my mind. 10 minutes later.
So, that's about it.
Regarding the facilities and rules, ask the person in charge. That seemed to be more like an important thing to know.
See you.
After showing off her knowledge, the director gracefully walked away.
That was a bit of a weird director.
It appeared she was an unusual director even without the hallucination. Yeah. I did not want to make Monet too worried, so I kept my strange hallucination to myself and agreed to her. Afterwards, we were guided by a nurse to my hospital room. We walked a short distance and moved to another building.
Currently, this building is mainly for patients with Spilia.
I saw a patient making strange sounds. The atmosphere seemed to change a little. It was terrifying. We went up the stairs to the second floor and reached the room I would be staying in.
Please use the empty bed in the back right corner.
I was shown to a room of 4. There were already 3 patients there.
Boy?
A boy scribbling fiercely in a notebook with a red crayon.
No, a monster's attacking me. Help me.
A woman who looked horrified, hiding behind a curtain. A drooling man with empty eyes. It was obvious they were mad, but I was one of them to some degree. To be honest, I could not hide my shock. My bed was by the window, and I could see a beautifully trimmed light green lawn, as well as a pond and forest in the back. The nurse left after explaining briefly about the facility rules.
Ryu, be sure to rest until you get better.
I hear you. Since I got Spilia, I was not allowed to use my phone in order to stabilize my mental health. I had gotten used to living without the internet a lot lately. I would probably be spending my time doing things like reading a book here as well.
I'll come visit you once in a while, so if there's anything you want, just let me know then.
Thanks. It was a word from my heart.
See you.
Yeah. It made me feel very sad to say goodbye to Monet when I think that there was no one I knew here. After she left, I took out the novel I was in the middle of reading. However, I gradually got bored and decided to look around the hospital. As I was randomly walking around, I saw a girl who looked familiar, talking to her nurse about the rest area. That girl, I think I've seen her somewhere before. However, I could not remember. She had finished speaking to the nurse and started to walk away, so I chased after her. For some reason, I felt like I should not leave her alone. If I did not remember her, I would regret it. Somehow that was what I thought. I went up many stairs, and I was on the 7th floor before I noticed. The girl went further up the stairs from a dimly lit, empty hallway. I followed her up the stairs, but there was no one at the end. There was a door to the rooftop with a plate written, "No entry." I was sure the girl went up the stairs. She probably went out to the rooftop. When I turned the doorknob, the door was not locked and I was able to open it with no problem. I went out to the rooftop with some hesitation. My body wobbled a bit from the strong wind. The rooftop was very clean, and it was hard to believe the place was closed off. I looked around for the girl. There she was. But she was not at a place where people were supposed to be. She was outside the fence on the rooftop. "Don't!" The words just came out of my mouth. The girl turned around and looked at me. Pale hair and skin. I was sure I had seen this girl somewhere before. After a few moments of silence, she opened her mouth. "It's been a long time, Rui." I was surprised to hear my name from her. However, hearing her voice brought back memories that had been deep in my brain. "Could you be Elisa?" I just remembered. She was Elisa Tensho, my childhood friend who lived in the neighborhood. We used to spend a lot of time together, but she moved away when we were in the 6th grade and I had not seen her since. She was also my first love. It's a coincidence that we met here. I wonder how she recognized me so quickly after all these years, but it was not the time to be impressed by her memory and astute observation. What are you doing? Don't tell me you're going to jump off. I am. Will you stop me? Of course. Suicide's not a good idea. You should rethink about it. Hearing my words, Lisa put her index finger on her chin as if she was thinking a little. Then do something funny to make me laugh. Huh? What did she say? Only confusion came to me. If you make me laugh, I wouldn't do it. Why would she stop dying if I did something funny? I could not understand how it was related. However, I had to do something or Lisa would die. I decided to think of minor details later and tried to yank the idea from my brain. An impersonation? A funny face? A one-liner? None of them did not seem to work. But then a flash of idea came to my mind. Marjan Sosaji! Marjan Sosaji! As I said that, I raised my hand above my head with palms together and twisted my entire body. A moment of silence and... I haven't seen that in a while. She laughed. The fish sausage commercial that always aired on Sunday mornings in between Sword Rangers. When we were in elementary school, this phrase became popular between the two of us, and we used to say it all the time for a while. Come to think of it, I was not sure what part of it had a laughing fit. It was funny, so I guess I'll stop killing myself for now. She easily gave up what she was trying to do. That's a relief. I was relieved and thanked my usually useless brain for giving me a flash of inspiration. Lisa climbed the fence surprisingly lightly and landed on this side. She then closed in on me. Her clear hair and skin stretched across my sight. Rui, you've grown taller. She held her right hand horizontally to measure my height. So cute, I could not help but look away from her a little. But then I quickly turned my head back. That's not important now. Why were you trying to die? I asked her in an angry voice. I thought it was okay. The world is going to end soon anyway. I'm bored in the hospital, and if the world is ending anyway, why not just die? The world is ending? That's right. Well, only the world for humans is. I suppose the animals will survive. Huh? We've done too much and the deity is angry at us. That's the way it goes. What is she talking about? It appeared as if she had gone completely crazy. But thinking back, Lisa had always been a strange girl. Faiths, psychics, magic, cryptids, urban legends. She was into all kinds of occult stuff, and I had to accompany her every time. And it seemed like she got more into those things. Besides, death doesn't always mean the end. Maybe there's still a next stage, and it continues to the next, and the next. No one can prove that there is no afterlife. That is an idea made convenient for human beings. I was about to say that, but swallowed my words. Hey, Lisa, what's the disease you are here for? I think it's called Spilia? I really don't know much, though. Just as I thought. The nurse had told me that most of the people in this building were Spilia patients, so I thought that was the case. Lisa was odd since she was little, so if she was infected by Spilia, It was not a surprise that she became obsessed with delusions and ended up committing suicide. I hate to say this, but the things about the world ending, I think it's just your imagination. Spilia is a disease that causes abnormalities in the brain, so you might be suffering delusions from it.
Oh, really?
I don't know anything about the disease. If you think I'm being delusional, that's fine. I believe what I want to believe. But that doesn't mean you should waste your life. Your parents would be sad too. Risa put her hand on her chin and thought for a while.
You have a point. It's true that the end of the world is coming, but I'm not so heartless. I don't want the people I care for to feel sad.
To my surprise, Risa easily showed her understanding.
Then you should entertain me until the end of the world. As long as you entertain me, I won't die.
What's that about? I let out a small sigh. I was amazed, but at the same time, I felt a strange sense of relief that Risa had not changed at all. Now that I think about it, her fundamental desire had always been to have fun. She tried witchcraft, searched for ghosts and cryptids, and prayed to deities. She found pleasure in the unknown, and she just went after it. And I was attracted to her enjoying in her own world. All right. At least while we're here, I'll entertain you as much as I can. So please, don't die. She would surely change her mind about this foolish idea once she was completely cured. All I had to do was keep her occupied until then. I'm bored too anyway. Lisa smiled at me. Her smile was as cute as ever. I was embarrassed to remember the time when I used to be in love with her and looked down a little. After that, we went back inside the building. I walked down the stairs with her, trying to walk at the same pace. On the way back, a familiar, unpleasant voice rumbled in my ears. Have you fallen in love with this chick again? You really like crazy women, do you? But since you're crazy too, you two make a perfect couple. It was Gelmy. However, I ignored it and talked with Risa. My room is on the second floor of this building. You?
Mine is on the first floor, just down the stairs.
Oh, you're planning to creep up on her at night? I envy you. I could not stop myself from getting annoyed and punched where there was actually nothing. Naturally, my fist punched the air, and the vexing creature disappeared like a mist. No matter how uncomfortable I felt, his words were all coming from my brain. It was like punching myself in the face, and it made me a little futile. What's wrong? Nothing. There was an annoying bug is all. We made our way back to the second floor rest area where I first saw Lisa. Perhaps from the anxiety of seeing my first love again, I felt a sudden urge to urinate. I gotta go to the bathroom. Have a seat and wait here.
Okay.
After I relieved myself, I straightened myself up in front of the mirror. Entertaining Lisa, eh? How on earth can I entertain her? I regretted making a promise without thinking about it and pondered over as I looked at my face. Then the novel I had just read halfway through occurred to me. It was a story about a character who heard a rumor of a ghost in an abandoned building and sneaked in the middle of the night. A typical introduction to a horror story. Oh yeah, how about I pretend that this hospital was also rumored to be haunted, and I invite her to walk around. Lisa, a big fan of the occult, would surely be hooked on it. It was not necessary for a ghost story to be true. I thought this was a good idea, so I immediately returned to where Lisa was. Hey there. Sorry for the wait. Hey, Lisa, do you want to hang out with me tonight? Actually, I just heard a nurse talking about some rumor. It seems a woman ghost with long hair appears in the forest behind the hospital. Why don't we go and check it out? Lisa stared at my face as if she was trying to figure out what I was thinking. Did she notice I lied by any chance? On second thought, it was too convenient for me to hear such gossip at this timing. However, her response was surprisingly good.
Great, that sounds fun.
She might have realized my lie, but accepted my invitation regardless. Lisa had never cared much about the truths and things. She would go exploring for the unknown and end up finding nothing, but she always seemed pleased. And seeing her like that also pleased me. See you around midnight then.
Yeah.
We decided on a meeting place and time and parted again. In the evening, I ate the dinner that had been brought to me. The meal was simple and tasteless. I had never had an invalid diet before, but were they all this tasteless? I had not much of an appetite since I was infected by Spilia, so maybe my mother had told the hospital to serve me something specially made. After dinner, the doctor made his rounds, took my temperature, and performed some minor tests. Later on, night fell and the lights out time came. Just before 1 a.m., I snuck out of the hospital room with a battery-operated lamp that I had brought with me for nighttime reading. When I arrived at the meeting place, Lisa was already waiting for me. Was she looking forward to meeting me? If that was the case, that would make me happy. Okay, let's go. Yeah. The reason I chose the forest outside was so that the guards would not find us. The sky was starlit and looked brighter since there were no street lights. As we walked towards the forest, Gelny appeared above my head again. You planning to take her into the woods and make love? Way to go, Rui. Well, guys at your age tend to be hornballs, so it's no surprise. Wah! I was seriously ticked off. The anger was against Gelny, but also against myself for creating such a thought. I glared at it with all my might. Even Gelny seemed to have reflected on its words and disappeared on its own accord like a cloud of smoke. I took a look at Lisa, who was walking next to me. The moon and the lamp's light illuminated her body contour. Even in her hospital gown, it was clearly visible. But I immediately shook my head to overcome my passion. I was paying attention to things I should not, and it was all Gelny's fault. Hey, Rui, why does a ghost appear in a place like this? Her sudden question made my heart jump. Well, long ago there was a sick girl. Her parents wanted to get rid of her and sent her to this hospital. The girl, in shock, hanged herself in the forest and died. Oh, I spoke off the cuff. Oh, really? Then if I kill myself here, maybe I can become a ghost and be friends with her. Don't make a morbid joke like that. What will you do if I'm that ghost? What are you talking about? I just made up the story, so there was no way that it could be true. Do you want to hold my hand and check? She suddenly held out her hand. No, it's okay. I immediately turned away, feeling shy. We found ourselves wandering so deep into the forest that we could not see the hospital anymore. I felt my body stiffen when I heard the sound of swaying grass and trees. I believe there was no such thing as a ghost, but I could not hold back my fear. Why? Because I had Spilia. It meant any delusion could appear any time. Even if I knew they were not real, scary things were scary. After walking for some time, we came to a fence. I knew this fence surrounded the whole hospital. With this fence, at least we could not get lost, even if we walked randomly. We decided to walk along the fence for a while. Nothing's coming out. Yeah, of course nothing would happen. And yet she seemed rather happy than bored. I'm a little tired. How about taking a break? Okay. Riza sat down against the fence. I sat down against a tree across from her. Hey, Rui, here's a question for you. What is it? If you had a device that could erase any bad memory you ever had, would you use it? The question came out of nowhere. But thinking back, Lisa had always loved to ask questions about imaginary situations like this. I felt that she had not changed since then. I wondered to myself how to answer the question. A device that can erase memories. I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use it. Why? Well, I don't have any memories I want to erase that badly. And I'm afraid that once I use something useful like that, I'll get addicted to it and accidentally erase an important memory one day. What about you, Lisa? I will use it. I'd like to experience being a person with missing memories. Lisa's answer was so her. However, it was hard to tell how serious she was. At that moment, I heard a sound like a moan nearby. I looked up about 2 meters above Lisa's head and saw a monster peeking over the fence at us. What is it? Behind you. There's a monster. I pointed at the monster's face. Lisa immediately turned around, but for some reason her face was calm. I looked again at the monster, and there was just a dead tree. So it was merely a hallucination, probably all caused by Spilia. I'm sorry. It's nothing. She suddenly burst out laughing. That was so real. Or did you really see a monster? It's funny either way. How I reacted might have appeared really funny. It hit Risa's spot, and she could not stop laughing. I did not do it on purpose, but I was glad to see her having fun. Should I be thankful for Spiria's hallucination? I was not sure how to feel about it. I remember seeing that monster on the way to the hospital. My brain seemed to easily identify a tree as a monster. Hey, who goes there? Suddenly, a flashlight shined from the hospital side, and I heard somebody's angry voice. Oh no, somebody's coming. We turned off the lamp and quickly hid in a nearby bush. What to do? I could hear the sound of Lisa's breathing nearby. Even she looked a little anxious. The light was coming closer and closer. What should we do? She whispered into my ear. They had surely noticed somebody hiding. It would be impossible to get away. I thought about it for a moment and then made up my mind. Lisa, you stay here. Don't come out, okay? As soon as I said that, I ran out in front of the person with the flashlight. Excuse me, I was taking a walk and got lost. I followed the route of the light. It was that gas mask director. Being found by the director of all people. Can it be any worse? You are not allowed to go outside after lights out. Sorry, it was my first time staying at a hospital, so I didn't know much about the rules. The director thought to herself for a while. Since it's your first day, I will let you go this time. But I'm warning you, you are on a yellow. The next time you do something wrong, you will be severely punished. Yes, ma'am. I straightened my back and saluted. Drawn by her military-like appearance and tone of voice, I could not help but respond in a foolish way. I was not even sure what extent of her was hallucination and what was not. The director took me back to the hospital. When I turned around on the way back, I saw Risa with worried eyes looking at me from the bushes. It was a relief that she was not scolded. Moreover, I got to see her puzzled expression tonight. I thought that was more than enough for me. I arrived at my hospital room and wondered to myself as I got into bed. Did Lisa make it back to her room safely? Did she enjoy the walk tonight? I was tired from the many things that had happened today. I felt uneasy about my new life, but I was still filled with anticipation and excitement. This might have been all because I got to see Lisa again. What should I do to entertain her next? While I was thinking that, I was swallowed into dark slumber. Second day in the hospital. I found myself in a dark, empty concrete room. My hands and feet were bound with ropes. I could not move at all. Where am I? Why am I suddenly in this situation? Then someone appeared in front of me. Who are you? The person came up to my ear. And they whispered something to me endlessly. However, I could not hear what they were saying. It was somewhat similar to the nightmare I had yesterday. Then I finally realized. This is a dream. When I woke up, my whole body was wet with sweat. That was a bad dream. After having breakfast and a medical checkup, I spent my time reading a book. It seems I did not get enough sleep. I started to get sleepy. As I was dozing off, I suddenly heard the curtains open and someone came in. It was Lisa in a nurse's uniform. Lisa? Good morning. Were you okay yesterday? She leaned forward on the bed. Yeah, more than that. What's with your outfit? Outfit? Isn't it normal? No, it's not. Why is a patient wearing a nurse's uniform? And the skirt is so short. After I said that, I realized what was going on. I rubbed my eyes and looked at her again. Lisa was wearing the same hospital gown as yesterday. Rui, you're really weird. It's funny. You perverted little brat. What are you fantasizing about? Even Gelny came out. This time I could not argue with it. What was I even thinking? Then I spent the rest of the time talking to Lisa. Hey, Lisa, I was wondering why you have so many hairpins in your hair. Oh, this? It's a lucky charm, to be reincarnated into something nice after I die. Is there such a charm?
There is, but I'm doing it my own way.
So it's your own way. It would be safe to say that there's no such charm then.
Anyways, do you still like sword rangers?
The topic changed to our childhood memories. I'm too old. I'm old for it now. Lisa also liked Sword Rangers, and we used to watch it together. The day after watching the show on Sunday, we would watch the recorded episode together at my house. It was a wonderful time for me to talk freely and passionately about what I liked. But I'm still doing kendo. Half the reason I started kendo was because of my admiration of the Sword Rangers. The other half was for another reason.
Wow, that's amazing. I bet you've gotten stronger.
I'm not sure. There are always people better than me.
Well then, I've got my checkup coming up, so I'm going. Let me know if you have any more fun things.
Okay. Lisa rushed off. Fun things, eh? I had to keep her entertained to stop her from killing herself. I remember the task, and it made me puzzle all over again. And are the only fun, right? All of a sudden, dirty words echoed in my ears. I was about to punch it, but Gelney predicted that and disappeared beforehand. What's with that skull? Is it only good at crude jokes? Seriously, it's annoying. But that's just until I get better. Later on, I went to the consultation room for an examination. During the examination, I told the doctor about my symptoms, but since there was no cure for Spilia, it was just a regular report. I was told that the only way to cure Spilia was to manage it by myself. To participate in the kendo tournament coming in 2 months, I must get well fast and leave the hospital. Once again, I made my determination stronger. Since I had free time after the examination, I decided to take a walk outside. I had enough walk around the hospital, and when I was about to return, I saw a familiar figure in the distance. It was Monet. Why is she here? Did she come again today? 2 days in a row? I had heard nothing about it. Besides, her clothes and her whole body looked tattered. She then disappeared to the back of the building. I followed her, but she was not there. What was that? I know, this must be another hallucination. I could be subconsciously missing my sister. Moni had been taking care of me every day since I got Spilia. On second thought, I had been spending a lot of time with her recently. It was not surprising for me to see these hallucinations. Why she looked tattered was a little mystery, though. She's been taking care of me a lot lately, so I should thank her properly sometime. After lunch, I tried to think of fun things to suggest to Risa. I looked at the clouds floating outside the window and came up with an idea. How about summoning a UFO? Of course, the method could be made up. We should do it on the rooftop late at night. If the director found out about it, I could get in serious trouble this time. However, this was a matter of life and death. Nobody could blame me. Once I made up my mind, I could not sit still. I decided to go to Lisa's hospital room. She said it was on the first floor, next to the stairs. I went down to the first floor, walked across the corridor, and arrived in front of her room. However, I sensed an indescribable feeling of discomfort from the end of the corridor. I became curious, so I put off seeing Lisa and went further into the hallway. The feeling was probably from the treatment room at the end of the corridor. I slowly peeked inside the gap in the door, and there was a group of patients with empty eyes. They were all sitting on the floor, huddled together in the corner. What are they doing? It was quite normal for this building to have many strange patients. There was something different about them from the others, though. Their bodies were still as mannequins, not moving an inch, and their eyes were so lifeless. I felt as if I had seen something I was not supposed to see. I darted away from the place. I went back the way I came and arrived in front of Lisa's hospital room again. When I opened the sliding door, I found her drinking some juice. Oh, Rui. Do you want some? It's delicious. She offered me the juice she was drinking without hesitation. The label on the can said salted pickle cider. It's a very unique choice of flavor. And doesn't she mind at all about having an indirect kiss? No thanks. I hesitated for a moment, but I quickly declined. Hey, I came up with something fun to do today. Really? What is it? I recently read a book called 10 Ways to Summon UFOs. Would you like to try it out with me tonight?
That sounds great.
Lisa's right eye peeking through a gap in her hair instantly lit up. She was like a child who had just been invited to a theme park. Then we'll meet on the rooftop at 1 a.m. tonight.
Okay.
After I left Lisa's place, I waited impatiently for midnight to come. Time seemed to pass very slowly. When the time finally came, I sneaked out of the hospital room. I opened the door to the rooftop and saw countless stars in the sky. Under the stars, Lisa was waiting for me. Huh, when did you get here?
About 2 hours ago?
Oh, really?
Really? I like to look at the stars.
Then I should have come earlier too. By the way, did you know that this rooftop is off limits?
Yeah, but, well, it wasn't locked, so let's say I didn't notice.
If we keep doing things like this, we might get caught and punished one day. What would they do to us as a punishment? Alright, let's get started.
Okay.
I placed the cans I got from a trash bin in a diamond shape on the floor. Then I stood in the middle of the cans. Ha-nya-ha-ra-hi-ha. I spread my hands out to the side while chanting a strange spell and then wiggled my upper body.
Is this how you summon a UFO? That's so fake.
It's true. It was in the book. Ha-nya-ha-ra-hi-ha.
Rui, you've always been so serious about everything. You're so funny. I like that about you.
I felt my heart jump. I used to like Lisa, but she moved away before I could confess it to her. To be honest, even after she moved, I still thought about her. If she had felt the same way I did back then, would I be successful if I confessed my feelings to her now? I left such serious thoughts pass through my mind as I danced a ridiculous dance.
Ha-nya-ha-ra-hi-ha.
I noticed that Lisa was also dancing next to me, chanting a spell. And they were just spells and movements I made up on the spot. She probably knew it was all a lie. However, she still went along with me without saying anything. Lisa seemed to be a person who went her way, but she was very considerate. I like that about her. Ha-nya-ha-ra-hi-ha. When I looked to my left, a third wheel was joining in the dance. After dancing for a while, we got tired and decided to sit on a bench to look at the stars.
I don't see any UFOs.
Yeah. There was no sense of sadness among us, even though the UFO did not appear. The comfortable temperature of a May night, a pleasant night breeze was blowing, and the star-filled sky showed us that the world was beautiful. Hey, Lisa, you said the world was going to end, right? How is it going to end? I asked out of curiosity, wondering what kind of delusion Lisa was having.
Like being invaded, I guess.
By aliens?
Not quite. But the end is definitely approaching.
Aren't you just saying that out of caprice?
Maybe, maybe not.
She was not going to tell me. Lisa, please don't take your own life. I'll be sad if you die.
How will it go for me? I guess it's all up to you.
Once again, I felt I had to do my best to entertain her.
Hey, Rui, here's a question for you.
Again?
Suppose that the human race is ruled by aliens, and for observation purposes we are all connected to computers living together in a virtual space. Would you like to know that truth?
It was another bizarre and absurd question. I never understood Risa's intentions. The human race is ruled by aliens. I want to know. I guess I want to know. If I knew, even when I had a rough day, I wouldn't think it's okay. I would think it's okay since it's all happening in a virtual space. I feel like I can take my life easier that way. What about Risa?
I'd like to know too. It's fun to think that there are aliens. Maybe they'll communicate with us.
Even under such circumstances, you think about occultism. You always base your decisions on whether it's fun or not, do you?
I suppose so.
Then can't we just stop talking about the end of the world because it's not fun?
I'm not sure why, but I don't feel that way.
That was probably the influence of Spilia. I had never seen Lisa so fascinated with negative illusions in the past. At that moment, a ray of light flashed through the darkness of the night.
Wow, a shooting star!
Lisa shouted. We looked at each other. Well, we didn't get to see a UFO, but we did see something better. Yeah. It appeared too suddenly to make a wish, though. I made a wish. But what I wished for is a secret. What kind of wish did she make? I could not even imagine what she had in her heart. After that, we cleaned the place up, returned inside the building, and parted. This time, I was able to return to the hospital room without being spotted by anyone. And like yesterday, I went to sleep thinking about Lisa. Third day in the hospital. I found myself in a pitch-black place, after standing there for a while. A portrait emerged before my eyes. It was a portrait of a very beautiful woman. She looked somewhat like Risa. However, as time went by, the paint melted away. In the end, only a reddish-black canvas remained. My consciousness connected to the reality. I've been having a lot of weird dreams lately. I got up and went to the bathroom to wash my face. When I looked in the mirror, all my hair had turned gray, my eyes were bloodshot, and the skin on my upper half of my face was red and sore. I bent backwards in surprise. What is this? I rubbed my eyes hard and looked closely again. The mirror was showing a reflection of my normal face. It was a hallucination. Mwah! Your head's certainly going crazy, Rui. I ignored the words of the creature not reflected in the mirror. But Gelny was right. My hallucinations were getting worse instead of getting better. I headed for my morning checkup. My temperature was normal. I was a little underweight, but apart from that, there was nothing wrong with my health. However, the symptoms of Spilia showed no signs of recovery. If I don't get better, I might be able to spend more time with Risa. Such a feeling came across my mind. But I shook my head and instantly got rid of such a naive thought. Nothing would be cured if I kept thinking like this. I could see her any time, even after I left the hospital, if I got her contact number. After the checkup, I headed back to my room. As I walked down the hallway, I heard a familiar voice from behind me. Hey, Rui! I turned around. And there she was, Moni dressed as a demon girl. Oh, I put it here, okay. Why did I put it in the quick slave slot? I don't know, I must be going crazy, just like our friend Rui here. Okay, why don't we stop it there? This is meowmurai. You've been watching Horrific Xanatorium running on PC. Again, this is going to be different for those of you who have not experienced me, playing a visual novel. But I like to do things a little differently and have a little variety here. And even though the translation is definitely not perfect, there are certainly problems with some of the English. I think overall it's an interesting story and unusual artwork, I would say. But we've had a lot of really good experiences with visual novels here, and hopefully that will be the same here. Kemco usually publishes really good ones, so I'm looking forward to what happens at the end of this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.